Okay, so while my other video is uploading my Justin Bieber video, I thought I'd just stop and talk about something that's been really huge this week and last week, about the Sandusky molestation case. It's not a case yet. I guess they're still gathering information, but I just have a few thoughts on, how I feel about everything. When it first came out, I didn't really pay attention to it. I don't know why. I just didn't pay attention to it. And I remember one night watching ESPN, and they were talking about how they just fired Joe Paterno. Now, I'm into regular football, like the NFL, but I've never really been into NCAA, because my college doesn't have a football team, so I really don't have anyone to cheer for. But I did go to a UCLA football game at the Rose Bowl on last Saturday, and I had a really good time last week, so I guess that was the 6th, yeah, or the 5th. So anyway, I read more into the story, and I read more into the grand jury, I guess the grand jury trial information. I don't know the legal term, but I was just so disgusted by what I read. I mean, not just by Sandusky himself, but also just all the adults involved and their lack of action. For those of you who don't know, though I'm sure you do, Sandusky was an athletic coach for the football team at Penn State, and he retired. He found out that he was not going to become head coach because Joe Paterno has been there since before my mom was born. He's been there for 61 years, head coach for 42. My mom is like in her 50s, so that's kind of weird. So Joe's like, basically, I'm not stepping down. I'm going to be here until I die. So Sandusky was very disheartened, and he retired. So once he retired, they still let him have full run of the grounds, and he still had his offices there. And it was during that time, and he probably did it before too. We just know about since the 1990s. He raped little boys. So from what I read from the grand jury, whatchamacallit, there are 8 known victims so far. 2 of them were actually raped. All of them were molested, but 2 of them are proven as, or are testified as having been raped. One of them, the first one, was the one that Mark McQuarrie found, and he saw Sandusky raping the little boy in the shower, and he left, and he called his dad and said, "What should I do?" And his dad told him to come home. Here's my problem. If I see an adult raping a child, I'm going to break it up right then and there. I'm going to break it up. If he's too big for me, if I can't beat up the adult, I'm grabbing the child. I'm grabbing the child out of its reach. I'm calling the police, okay? Because by now, even though I'm sure it's true, but now it's like, 10 years later. So now it's just, Sandusky's word against these 8 victims. And of course, 8 is a great number, but there's no hard, solid proof. He should have acted right then. What kind of grown man, what kind of 30-year-old man sees a little boy being raped and doesn't do anything? I don't understand that. So with the other 6 little boys, they all just basically had the same testimony that Sandusky, he would pick them up from school, and basically he would try to see how far he could get with them. Like, he would take them to football games and give them presents, and then when they're riding in the car, he would slowly do the thing all guys do to women, when they're trying to get in their pants. He would put their hand on their thigh, and then he would move it up until it was at their genitals. And from what I read from those victims 2 through 7, some of them were like, no, don't do that, or they would move away from him. And, once he saw that he wasn't going to get anywhere with them, he'd move on. He wouldn't call them anymore. It's just like, oh, you're not giving me what I want. Like they're grown, like they're adults. Like they're adults and they have a choice whether they want to sleep with him or not. Oh, you're not giving me what I need, so I'm going to go on to my next victim. From what I hear next, the victim number 8 was also sexually raped. He was a janitor from a temp agency. Saw Sandusky holding the boy up against the wall and giving him oral sex. And the janitor said, and this really touched me, the janitor was a veteran of the U.S. military. They don't say what branch. The veteran, he said, I've seen people die. I've seen, people get blown up, people shot, people screaming in an agony. But I've never seen anything that will stay with me like that image stayed with me. He told his boss too, but they didn't tell the police, or maybe I think they did tell the police actually, but that was the time where the police chose not to act, and I don't know what their reasons were for not acting. Quite frankly, I don't care, but they should have done something. They should have done something, absolutely. But that guy cannot testify during Sandusky's trial because he has dementia, so they are not going to, let him testify. So now the big thing is, they fired Paterno. Paterno decided to go out with he should have the choice to go out with dignity. My thing is, when you're that old and you're coaching, he should have retired last decade. He should have retired in 2000. He should have retired, you only need to work for 30 years at the most, and he was there for 40. So it's like and didn't he break his leg a couple years ago because he was on field and some guys ran into him? Like, once that happens, he's as old as my grandpa. So he shouldn't be on the field anymore anyway. I understand he's a symbol of the school, but if he wanted to retire with dignity, he should have did it a while ago. It was way too late for him to retire with dignity. And this whole thing, even if they let him stay till the end of the season, his reputation is tarnished. So whether he stopped coaching this week or stopped coaching in a couple weeks, his dignity's gone. He's not going to be able to retire with dignity. He should have done more. But I'm not going to say that he should have been fired, but because I don't have an opinion on that, because I just feel like, it's just troubling. But if they're going to go after Paterno, then they need to go after McQuarrie too, because he's the one that actually witnessed it, and he didn't do anything to help the child right then and there. He saw it with his own eyes. Wasn't he said, she said, he saw it with his own eyes and did nothing. So that's why I think that he needs to be punished. But he's not. He's just on leave by choice because people want to kill him. Whatever. So right after the news broke out that Paterno was fired, I was watching, they announced it, and the dumb ass reporters there, who's coaching Saturday? Who gives a crap? Who cares who's coaching on Saturday? Because those little boys probably don't care. Though it's not about Paterno, it's about those little boys right now. Okay? I'm so sorry that Paterno wasn't able to leave with the dignity and grace that you wanted him to. But you know what? Who frickin' cares? It's about the victims. The reporters just make me sick. And then Penn State students decided that it would be a great idea to go out and act like idiots. And I'm like, it's one thing to protest Paterno leaving, even though you were completely out of line. You should be protesting how your school did a very big cover-up that changed the lives of boys who are around your age. I'm 23 years old, Those boys, one of them is 22, one of them is 21. They're around my age. So they're at college age. They're at college age now. These are your peers. That could have been you. And you're out there screaming about Paterno and how he needs to still be here? Are you serious? Are you serious? They embarrassed themselves. I don't know what else to say for them. They embarrassed themselves, tipping over cars. If my child was out there, if I was watching ESPN and my child was out there, there would have been another abuse. There would have been another abuse going down, because I would have went out there with my belt wet, with a wet skinny belt, and been beating his ass all the way home. Believe that. Believe that. I don't have much more to articulate about the Sandusky such and such, but I will be watching it closely to see what happens. I hope he goes to jail. I hope they keep a close watch on him while he is awaiting his trial, because I really feel that he's a suicide risk, because I feel like suicide would be the easiest way out for him by now, and I think he's considered that. So I think that they need to watch him very closely and make sure that he's held accountable for his actions, not that he just kills himself on his own terms. That's not fair. So that's all I have to say. This is Introvert Jen. I don't know if there'll be any more videos tonight, but thanks for watching if you watched this long. Bye.